In this video, we will have our first real exercise, so we will make the mug here. So first of all, I will add a circle. This circle, I will put a number of 24 vertices. So why I choose this number? First of all, it's even, so yeah, it's important to have an even number on this if I want to model on quads. And here, if you take, for example, 12 here, you will not have enough vertices to make a right circle here. So you have to choose something that looks really circular from far. So it's, even if you use after, for example, a subdivision surface that then can help you to smooth everything like this, it's always good to have enough vertices to start. So let's go in edit mode for this, and in front view, orthographic view, we will make an extrusion into the z-axis. Okay, maybe it will be -3. Okay, and we will have this shape here. Good. Now I would like to close this part because it will be the bottom here. So what I will do here, I will make an extrusion and ES will make an extrusion and a scale directly at once. So I go maybe somewhere here. I always let here a pure loop of quads. It's always better before closing the geometry. Okay, so even sometimes I add 2 more. So what I do that, I show you why actually, because it's important. If I have a modifier subdivision surface and hide it for the moment, I will make the first option. The first option is close everything directly here. I could do, for example, F, but if I activate this, you see the shape, it looks totally crazy. So, and it's not a quad. If I make a quad here, if I make only quads here, I have the option to use Ctrl F to call the face menu and go there and use the grid fill. But you see here, it's not perfect. You have a kind of squarish shape here mixed with a circle, so not really work for what we want. So what I do here in that case, I just make ES, and sometimes even 2 times to have really a security here, something like that. And now I can close the shape with Ctrl F grid fill. Now, when I look at it from the bottom with Control numpad here, Control 7, sorry, here I will have the possibility to use the offset and align everything to have the right axis here. So now it looks good. And now if I add a modifier generate subdivision surface, you see that my shape is far better here. So that's why I do that actually, to close the shape here. I always let here a quad loop, an entire quad loop. So let's go there now. I will hide this again. Let's go there on top and make a ES, and it will be the border of here my mug. Okay, now in front view and in wireframe view with Z, I can just extrude into the Z axis and go until there. I want some thickness, so I keep the thickness like that. Okay, now if I look at it into solid view, I can see that I have here my shape that is not finished. So I will make exactly the same than the bottom. ES, ES again, and Ctrl F grid fill. Always use the offset to see the axis that is well aligned here. So now we have the shape of our body, but we would like to have a handle here, a little handle. So, and I don't want to use the Boolean tool. I would like to have an entire shape, an entire surface that will create the volume with only quads into that shape. And it will be important to smooth the geometry with this subdivision modifier here. So let's add here a torus inside the geometry. So it will be inside of our object here. Here we have the major segment, minor segment here. I will choose 6, always an even number, okay. I will choose here maybe something like 24. It might be enough for what we want. And with that shape here, I will make I will remove that and make a RX, so rotation into the x-axis 90 degrees. Like this I will have that shape. Now I move it here into wireframe view. I remove what I don't need, so all these vertices here I can remove it with X or with delete. With L, so it's select the linked vertices. You will see that you will have a lot to handle into that tutorial at first, but I really recommend you to make it again and again. It will help you to have the strong basics. So now I have this shape here and I would like to align it with the mug like this. So it will be somewhere here to have a nice mug. Good. Here I cannot really close the geometry here without adding geometry into that part. I need more geometry into this part here. Okay, so what I will do, I will use the loop, the adding loop tool here, that is here with Control R. You see that it will give me a line, and this line I will move it there. You have two options here. You put 2 times like this, okay, or you put 1 time a line there, and with Control B you make 2. It works too. Both will make the same thing here, and that's really something to understand with 3D modeling. You can make the exact same shape with totally different things. For example, to make that shape here, I could add a circle and use the spin tool to make a full rotation like that. So yeah, you have a lot of possibilities to make really the entire same shape, the exact same shape. So let's go there, and now I would like, so you see that we have here an hexagon here, hexagon shape. So I will make more or less the same like this. I can close the geometry easier. So I select these 2 vertices, and with S I create this kind of same shape here, and I will make the same here. Okay, good, perfect. Now I can select these 4 faces and make here the holes that will receive the geometry. So what we can do now to close this, we did see that already, but I show you again. We can make faces manually just by make F and 1, 2, 3, 4, F, 1, 2, 3, 4, F, and it's long because you make a lot of clicks here. And if you, so it works well, but you make a lot of clicks. What you can do is something more quick. So you can select the first loop, and with Shift Alt click the second loop, and now you have the 2 loops that are selected, and now you can use Control E here to use the bridge head loop. And what it will give you, it will create a geometry between the 2 loops. The limitation of this is that you need to have the same number of vertices. So for example, let's say if I have, here I did choose 6, okay, for example. But if I have not 6 vertices here, but 8 or 12 or something else, what I do in that case? In that case, you can create more geometry. For example, here, I will have a loop of 10 vertices now. So I can use a loop of 10 here if needed. And yeah, if you don't have the same number of vertices in the other side, it will not work well and it will create some triangles. So for example, here I have 8, here I have 6, Control E, bridge edge loops, it will create something crazy. It even doesn't work in that case. So yeah, it's always better to have the same number of vertices to make it work well. And now you have something that works perfectly. What you can do, for example, to align this, you have two solutions. I show you both like this. You see a little how it works. You can select here everything and you can move into the x-axis, for example, to align things. But maybe you want a bigger handle like that, but you don't want these big shapes here. So what you can do in that case, you add a loop there, slide it until here and move it here. Add a loop there, slide it until here and move it here. So Control R, slide it, and G to move it. And now you have something that is really well aligned. Okay? So now if you want more organic shape, because now it's really sharp everywhere, and if you drink coffee there, you will hurt your lips. So what we will do, we will add some roundness here. To make this, it's very simple. You select the loop that you want to add some roundness, and you make Control B. We will not add a lot of vertices, maybe 2 or 3. Okay, you can come back with these values here with the segment. So how I did that, I repeat how it works. Control B, I slide like that. Okay, and you will have this. And I can increase with the scroll of my mouse the number of vertices that I add here. I don't want too much because I will have the subdivision that will help me to have something perfectly smooth here anyway. So I will make the same here. It's just to add a little more roundness here. I will make the same here. Perfect. And I can even make it here to have a nice join here. See, something like that. And make the same there. And now we have something that looks already better. If now I activate my subdivision surface, you can see that it smooths everything very well. And if I increase the level, it even looks better. So now I have my mug that is almost finished. We have 3 things that we need to do, even 4, but 3 things that are really important to make after each modeling. When you model in edit mode something, you always make these 3 things. The first one, it's very easy. It's rename your object. Never forget that. After you will have a complete mess here. If you model a lot, you will have circle 001, circle 002. Rename your objects. It's very important. So let's go here and call it mug. The second thing in edit mode, so it's a concept that I did show you already, but I want to make sure that you understand it. It's the normals. The normals has to be oriented into the exterior. Okay, so it's well oriented now, but it could be sometimes like that. I show you how can it be. Let's say I will hide this and select this with L. Okay, and I show you how it can be sometimes. I will make and I will put it inside. Okay, sometimes it can be like that. And you see that the subdivision surface doesn't work well here. And here we see that we see the normals there, but we don't see the normals here. And actually they are there, but they are inside. You see that they are inside the geometry. And when you invert the modeling or make a wrong scale or something like that, it can happen to have this. So always important to select everything and use Shift N to recalculate the normals outside. Shift N after each modeling, very important. So, and after, sometimes you don't even need to display the normals. It's just to show you how it works and why it's important to make it well. And sometimes too, when you make an extrusion, it can happen that you leave it here. Okay, you make an extrusion, you leave it here, and okay, and maybe you start doing something else. But actually here there are not one vertex. There is not one vertex. There are two. Okay, and it can be a problem after to make subdivision or to make other things like 3D printing or things like that when you export for other softwares, or after when you make your shaders in Blender, it will not work well. So what we do, we select everything and you use M. M is merge the vertices. And you merge by distance. So it creates a very, very low distance, 0.00001 meter. And each vertices that are here, that are very close to each other, will create only one. Okay, so here, if I do this here, you can see that it did remove 48 vertices. So like this, I have my mug that is cleaned. So rename, use the normals here, and merge the vertices by distance. The three things that are important when you finish modeling. And the last thing, it really depends on what you did actually, but you see that we still see the faces here, and maybe we would like something completely smooth. So what you can do, you can use the right click on your object in object mode and use the shade smooth. You can see that you have three options here. You have the shade flat, so the one that you have by default. You have the shade smooth, the one that smooths your object. And it's not the geometry that is smoothed, okay? It's just the surface showing differently. The object is really exactly the same, okay? It's just a way of showing it. And here you have another option that is the auto smooth. It adds a modifier to tell us something like that, for example. Like, let's add a cylinder to show you this last option. And what I will do, I will just select that and extrude it there and extrude it there. Okay, and extrude it there into the z-axis and extrude it again, but with something maybe with a lower angle, just like that. Okay, so what we have this shape, and if you use the auto smooth here, it will smooth from an angle here. So you see that this angle is smoothed, this one not, because it's above 30 degrees and this one not. And if you increase that, it will at a moment smooth everything, or at a moment unsmooth the one here. Yeah, so you see that it creates a different visualization, so can be very useful as well to create low poly things and have something that looks good into your scene here. Okay, so I just it was just to show you this option. And after, something that is good too is manage here the origin point of the mug. So what I do in that case, I can just you can do it in edit mode or in object mode. It makes exactly the same in the end. So what I want is my origin here, there. So what I do, I just move this into the object mode to put it right there into the ground, okay? And I make Control A, apply location, and like this, it will go there. Okay, it was the first option to make this. You have a second option if you want to make it in edit mode. It's very easy as well. You have your origin point, and what is good in edit mode is that the origin point doesn't move. So if you go in edit mode and move everything like that, okay, it's done, and you have the same, okay? So it's two different ways of making it. Sometimes it's more handy to use the first one. Sometimes it's better to use the second one, but mostly I do it in edit mode because like that I'm sure that this stays in the at center. Okay, and now you have the mug that is well modeled. I really recommend you to make it and make it again until you don't think about the shortcuts, until you don't think too much about the tools you use, and until it goes naturally. Okay, then after you can make, for example, different shapes. Here we have a simple mug. Maybe you want to make an espresso coffee cup, something like that. Maybe you want to make a bowl, or a lot of variations are possible with this. And I will show you how to model more complex stuff for sure. But this one, it's really a good one to repeat and to experiment with because it's not that complicated, and it gives you already strong basics. So that's it for this video with the mug. My cat is calling me, sorry. And we'll go with the headphones into the next video.